Before the tournament, I looked at Group 1 and said, France first, Senegal second, Norway third, Iraq fourth, and honestly, that felt reasonable. France had the best squad, Senegal had the tournament balance, Norway had Haaland and Ødegaard, but maybe not quite enough experience. And Iraq were the emotional underdog story, coming back to the World Cup after 40 years. But after Matchday 1, yeah, I might need to have a little chat with myself. France beat Senegal, Norway smashed Iraq, Haaland has already started doing Haaland things, and Senegal, who I had finishing second, are already under pressure. Not eliminated, not finished, but under pressure. And when your next game is against Norway, with Haaland standing there like a tax bill in football boots, that is not exactly ideal. So today, I'm going to do 3 things. First, I'm going to audit my original prediction. Then, I'm going to admit where I was right, where I was wrong, and where I was maybe being a bit too generous. And finally, I'm going to predict the rest of Group Y again, based on what these teams actually showed on the pitch. Right. Let's get into it. Let's start with France versus Senegal. My original prediction was France 2, Senegal 1. The actual result? France 3, Senegal 1. So yes, I got the winner right. I said France had too much attacking quality. That was correct. I said Senegal could score. That was also correct. But I was probably a bit too kind to Senegal's overall level in this match, because the scoreline matters. France did not just edge it, they found another gear. And the big story, of course, is Mbappé. 2 goals, record broken, France win. Lovely little evening for him, really. Just another casual day of becoming your country's all-time top scorer at a World Cup. Normal stuff. Some players collect souvenirs. Mbappé collects historical milestones. But beyond the record, the important thing is what France showed. They still have that scary ability to not look perfect for long spells, and then suddenly ruin your evening in about 10 minutes. That is what makes them dangerous. They do not need to dominate every second. They do not need to play beautiful football for 90 minutes. They can have awkward phases. They can look a little loose defensively. They can let you believe. And then Mbappé, Barcola, Dembélé, Olise, or whoever else decides, right, enough of this. And the game changes. That is France. But let's not pretend they were flawless. Senegal did cause problems. They scored. They had moments in transition. They showed that France can still be caught if the spacing is poor. France's defensive control is not perfect. And against Norway, that could matter later, because if France leaves space, Haaland will not ask for permission. He will just run into it and make everyone's life miserable. But for now, France did the job. 3 points, 3 goals, Mbappé flying, Barcola scoring, and the group under control. For Senegal, though, this is a problem, not a disaster, but a problem. They were supposed to be the balanced team, the team with physicality, experience, defensive structure, and attacking speed. But against France, they looked like a good team facing a better one. And that is the issue. Because now, against Norway, being good may not be enough. They need to win, or at least avoid defeat, and that changes everything. Now let's talk about Iraq versus Norway. My original prediction was Iraq 0, Norway 3. The actual result? Iraq 1, Norway 4. So again, I was close. I knew Norway would win. I knew Haaland would be a nightmare. I knew Iraq would struggle with Norway's attacking quality. But I still underestimated how quickly Norway could take control of the group. Because this was not just 3 points, this was a statement. Norway are top of the group on goal difference, above France. Which sounds strange, doesn't it? France have Mbappé, Norway have Haaland, and after one match, Norway are looking at the table like, yeah, I'll sit here for a bit, thanks. Haaland scored twice. Of course he did. Because apparently Iraq's welcome back to the World Cup gift was 90 minutes of defending Erling Haaland. Brilliant, lovely, welcome back after 40 years. Here is a large Norwegian machine attacking your penalty area. But to be fair to Iraq, they did score. Ayman Hussein equalized. And for a moment, there was hope. There was noise. There was pride. There was that feeling of, hang on, maybe this is becoming interesting. And then Norway said, no. That is the difference. Iraq had emotion, Norway had weapons, and weapons usually win. Ødegaard gives Norway the control and the final pass. Haaland gives them the finishing. The wide players stretch the pitch. They have physical options around the box. and they do not need to overcomplicate it. Sometimes football analysis can be very fancy. Pressing triggers, half spaces, rest defense, inverted this, rotational that. And then Haaland just stands in the box and scores. Very tactical, very sophisticated. But this is why Norway are dangerous. They do not need to dominate beautifully. They need service, they need timing, they need one defender to lose concentration for half a second, and that is enough. For Iraq, the problem is simple. They competed emotionally. But defensively, they were stretched too easily. Against Norway, that became 4 goals. Against France, it could become very ugly if they are not careful. They are not a joke. They have fight, they have pride, they have Ayman Hussein. But this group is brutal. France, Norway, Senegal, that is not a welcome match, that is a punishment. After Matchday 1, the table is Norway 3 points, France 3 points, Senegal 0 points, Iraq 0 points. Norway are top on goal difference. France are right behind them. Senegal are already chasing. Iraq are already in trouble. And this is where the mood matters. France are confident because they beat the strongest African team in the group. Norway are flying because they scored 4 and Haaland is already in rhythm. Senegal are frustrated because their direct qualification path just became much harder. And Iraq are proud to be there, but they have already seen the level. And the level is not kind. Before the tournament, the key match was Norway versus Senegal. That is still the key match. But the pressure has shifted. Before, I thought Norway needed to prove they could beat Senegal. Now, Senegal need to prove they can stop Norway. That is a very different conversation. The next match is France versus Iraq. And for France, this is simple. Win the match. Secure qualification. Do not make it weird. Because this is the kind of game where a big team can sometimes get lazy. They score early. They start managing energy. They rotate. They lose a bit of intensity. And then suddenly, the underdog gets one counterattack, one set piece, one big moment, and everyone starts looking around like, why is this still a match? France cannot allow that. Iraq will fight. They will defend deep. They will try to keep the game compact. They will look for Ayman Hussein as an outlet. They will try to attack set pieces. And if France get casual, Iraq can make them uncomfortable. But honestly, the quality gap is too big. France have too many ways to hurt Iraq. Mbappé running behind, Barcola attacking space, Dembélé one-on-one, Olis between the lines, Cherki's creativity, Thuram or Mateta in the box. And even if France rotate, the bench still looks like someone built it on cheat codes. That is the problem for Iraq. Against Norway, they could focus on Haaland. Against France, where do you focus? Left side, right side, between the lines, box runners, set pieces? Good luck. Pick a problem. There are 6 more waiting behind it. For Iraq, the mission is to survive early. If they reach halftime at 0-0, the match gets interesting. If they concede inside the first 20 minutes, it could become a long evening. And I mean long. The sort of long where the clock appears to have stopped moving. My prediction? France win. Most likely scores? France 3, Iraq 0. Or France 4, Iraq 1. I'm choosing France 3, Iraq 0. Professional, controlled, no drama. At least that is the plan. This is football, so naturally someone may ignore the plan. Now the big one. Norway versus Senegal. This is the match that decides the group. Not first place probably, but second place. Before the tournament, I predicted Senegal would beat Norway. I had Senegal finishing second. But after Matchday 1, I am changing that. Because the context is different now. Norway have 3 points. They have goal difference. They have confidence. Haaland has already scored twice. Ødegaard is already influencing the game, and they do not need to chase. Senegal, meanwhile, lost to France. So Senegal needs something here. Ideally, they need to win. And that changes the tactical picture. Because Senegal are excellent when they can defend compactly and break forward. They have pace, they have power, they have Mane, they have Ismail Assar, they have Nicolas Jackson, they have midfield runners. They can absolutely hurt Norway in transition. But if Senegal have to push too much, they open space. And if they open space, Norway have the exact players to punish them. You can see the problem. Senegal want to be aggressive enough to win, but not so aggressive that Ødegaard starts finding passes into Haaland and suddenly everyone is in trouble. And by everyone, I mostly mean the center-backs who have to deal with Haaland running at them, which is, not exactly a relaxing evening. Now, Senegal can score. I fully believe that. Norway's defense is not invincible. Senegal's athleticism can cause problems. If they press well, if they win second balls, if Mane or Sarr isolate defenders, they can hurt Norway. And Norway's coach is right to be wary of that counter-attack. Senegal are not dead, not even close. But the key difference is efficiency. Norway look like a team with a clear route to goals. Get Ødegaard involved. Find the wide runners. Get service into Haaland. Attack the box. Repeat. Simple. Not easy to stop. Senegal, on the other hand, need more clean final third decisions. Against France, they had moments, but France punished them harder. Against Norway, they cannot just have moments. They need end product, and I am not fully convinced they get enough of it. My prediction? Norway win or draw. Most likely scores. Norway 2, Senegal 1. Or Norway 1, Senegal 1. I am choosing Norway 2, Senegal 1. That is the big change. Norway take control of second place. Senegal fight. Senegal score. But Norway's attacking efficiency wins the match. So with these predictions, France beat Iraq. Norway beat Senegal. The table after Matchday 2 becomes France 6 points, Norway 6 points, Senegal 0 points, Iraq 0 points. And just like that, the direct qualification race is basically done. France and Norway would be through. Senegal and Iraq would be fighting for survival as third-place hopefuls. And that is a brutal turnaround. Because before the tournament, Senegal looked like the safer second-place pick. But if they lose to France and Norway, there is nothing safe about it. They would still have Iraq to play. They could still finish third, but direct qualification would be gone. And Norway would have earned it. Not through hype, not through reputation, through results. Final match day, Norway versus France. If both teams have 6 points, this decides first place. And this is a proper heavyweight individual matchup. Mbappé on one side, Haaland on the other, Ødegaard trying to control Norway's rhythm. France's defenders trying to manage the most direct striker threat in the group. Norway trying to stop France's ridiculous attacking depth. It is a brilliant match, but tactically, France still have the advantage. Why? Because they have more ways to win. Norway are dangerous, but their attacking structure is more focused. A lot goes through Ødegaard, a lot ends with Haaland. That is not a criticism. When your ending point is Erling Haaland, you should probably use it. But France can hurt you from everywhere. Mbappé in behind, Barcola wide, Dembélé 1v1, Olise inside, midfield runners, set pieces, bench impact. France are not just one problem, they are a whole series of problems arriving one after another, like emails from your accountant. For Norway, the key is to keep the match controlled. Do not let it become stretched too early. Do not give Mbappé space. Do not let France counter-attack freely, and take your chances when they come. Because Haaland will get something, one header, one run, one bouncing ball in the box. He does not need much. And I do think Norway score. But France are too complete. And if the match opens up, France are terrifying. Norway can compete. Norway can make it close. But I still think France win the group. My prediction? France win. Most likely scores, Norway 1, France 2. Or Norway 2, France 2. I'm choosing Norway 1, France 2. France win the group, Norway finish second, and both go through directly. The other final match is Senegal versus Iraq. And in this scenario, this becomes a recovery match for Senegal, not the match they wanted. They wanted this to be the game that confirmed second place. Instead, they would be playing to avoid a disastrous group stage. That is a very different mood. Senegal need to win. No excuses. No, we played France and Norway. No, the group was hard. Yes, it was hard. That is the World Cup. Lovely tournament. Very inconvenient opponents. Against Iraq, Senegal should have too much. They are faster, stronger, more athletic, more experienced at this level. They can press, they can attack wide. They can overload Iraq physically. And if Iraq are tired after facing Norway and France, Senegal's pace could be horrible for them, but Senegal must be careful. Because Iraq will still fight. They will want a point. They will want a moment. They will want something from this tournament. And Ayman Hussein already showed he can score at this level. So Senegal cannot be casual. They need to start properly, move the ball quickly, get runners beyond Iraq's midfield, use wide areas, attack the box, and finish the chances. Because if this match stays level for too long, pressure starts building. And Senegal do not need any more pressure. They have had plenty, thanks. My prediction, Senegal win. Most likely scores, Senegal 2, Iraq 0. Or Senegal 3, Iraq 1. I'm choosing Senegal 2, Iraq 0. They get the win, they finish third. But after losing to France and Norway, it may not be enough to guarantee anything. So here is my updated Group 1 prediction. Before the tournament, I had France first, Senegal second, Norway third, Iraq fourth. After Matchday 1, I'm changing second place. My updated final table is first, France 9 points, second, Norway 6 points, third, Senegal 3 points, fourth, Iraq 0 points. France first still makes sense. They beat Senegal. Mbappé is already firing. The squad depth is ridiculous. And even when they are not perfect, they have enough quality to turn games. Norway second is the big change. They beat Iraq properly. They have the goal difference. They have Haaland already scoring. They have Ødegaard pulling strings. And now they only need to handle Senegal. That is still difficult. But they are in a stronger position than before. Senegal's third is harsh, very harsh. But if you lose to France and Norway, you cannot complain about finishing behind them. That is how tables work. They are cruel, but at least they are honest. Senegal may still beat Iraq and finish on 3 points. Maybe that gives them a third place chance. But 3 points is not comfortable. It is the football equivalent of standing outside the nightclub hoping the bouncer feels generous. And Iraq finish fourth. Not because they are embarrassing, they are not. They have pride, they have a story, they scored against Norway. But this group is simply too much. France, Norway, Senegal, that is a brutal return after 40 years. So in my first prediction, I was right about France. They were the safest pick, and they still are. I was close about Norway beating Iraq. But I was probably too confident in Senegal's tournament balance, because Norway have changed the picture already. The big story of Group Y is no longer just Senegal or Norway for second place. The big story is, did Norway just steal Senegal's direct qualification spot? Because France look in control, Norway look dangerous, Senegal already need a response, and Iraq are fighting to avoid being overwhelmed by the group. So my updated prediction is France first, Norway second, Senegal third, Iraq fourth. Now tell me in the comments, are Norway really taking second place? Or can Senegal stop Haaland and save their tournament?